Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. I'm your host, Nalin at TLR Now, presenting the 56th episode of TLR Shows. TLR Shows has covered a long journey since the time we started about 7-8 months back. I'm very happy to have hosted quite a few of them, and I'm especially happy to bring on a very special guest tonight. TLR Shows has been looked at now. People have been wanting more and more episodes, and we have been successful in bringing guests across functions, across industries, and across geographies. And today I'm extremely delighted to present our special guest all the way from Belgium, Yasmin De Wild.
Thank
Yasmin
you.
De Wild is the founder and senior transformation coach at her Belgian company, We Are Lions. That's an awesome name of an organization, Yasmin. We Alliance coaches entrepreneurs worldwide to break free from limiting beliefs and behaviors to release and become their own inner lion. Yasmin does this via individual telephone coaching programs, mastermind group sessions, and open trainings on topics such as focus and productivity. Yasmin also organizes with her company transformational coaching travels to Iceland a few times a year. That's pretty exciting. I think, unfortunately, due to Corona, this hasn't happened this year, but she has been doing it for many years. And besides that, obviously, she's also an inspirational hands-on keynote speaker on topics of entrepreneurship and personal excellence. A very warm welcome to you, Yasmin. Welcome to our show.
Thank you, Nalin. Glad to be here.
Okay. Right. So we've got a very exciting topic today here, Discover Your Inner Lions. I think it's all about potential. It's all about growing. It's all about personal development and growth. It's all about moving towards setting the right legacy, moving towards the success ladder, moving towards achieving your potential, right? So before we go into that, Yasmin, what I would like you to share with our audience here today about your personal story, how you've come along.
Yes. Well, in my experience, personal stories are always the most inspiring. It's not theoretical. It's just, what you've lived. At the moment, I'm 29. I'm from Belgium, and I grew up seeing many different countries because my dad worked for the Belgian airline company for this whole career, and he loved flying and he loved seeing different countries. I've also been to Oman, for example.
Awesome.
And so as a child, we lived abroad. We lived in Germany, we lived in Sweden, and we traveled to many countries. And I think as a child, it imprinted on me that there are different cultures and different ways of living. There's not just one way, one European way or one Middle Eastern way. There's many different ways. And when I was 18, I didn't know yet what I was going to do with my life, as many people have had, I think. And I decided to go abroad and follow a foreign exchange program in the United States. So I went to Texas for 1 year, and I stayed with a host family and learned their way of being and their culture and their school system. And I loved it, but it was also very challenging because living with people you don't know, brings up emotions, brings up different opinions. And but those people that I lived with, that are also considered my family now, were successful entrepreneurs. And I think also there was planted a seed of, maybe I should go create my own business one day. And after a year, I came back to Belgium. And after going to college, studying sociology, economics, I still didn't know what I was going to do with my life. And I went to get a job in the airports. For 1 year, I did that. And then I felt, okay, I got to leave this job because there's no passion in it for me. And then I quit my job. And I took 1 year the time to travel, to further work on myself, do personal development courses, training, seminars all over the world.
Right.
And then I started my company. So and that's 4 years ago. almost.
Awesome, Yasmin. Awesome, Yasmin. About in entrepreneurship, I mean, you could have taken anything. So, but why coaching? So, why did you build a coaching company, and how you went about making it successful?
Mm-hmm. Well, I wanted to do something with all the knowledge that I had created or had encountered, had learned from my traveling
Right.
and also from the many personal development courses. And I
Right.
wanted to help people. So I decided that's the first step. And I took action. So during that year of traveling and searching for what I wanted to do, and then knowing I wanted to start a coaching company, I was financially broke. I had no money, but I knew I wanted to start, but I didn't know how. So I met a business coach, invested money, got some money from family, a few thousand euros, a few
Right.
$1,000 to invest in a business coach. And I started calling everyone in my phone book to invite them for free workshops on Saturdays, and just to speak with as many people as I could about what I was doing and how I wanted to help people.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I also joined network organizations, online and offline, for entrepreneurs. And I just immersed myself in everything that I could do to meet people, to have them know what I do, and to give them an experience, like a workshop, so that they could experience,
Right.
okay, what does coaching do with me? And then they could become a customer.
Right. Right. Awesome. Awesome. So, Yasmin, what has been your biggest failure? Because you've come, it's an inspiring journey. But what has been your biggest failure, and how has it shaped the Yasmin that we see today?
Well, I don't really believe in the word failure, because I believe in challenges and growth experiences. And I believe that everything happens for a reason. Even if you don't see the reason yet, it's all connected. So I've trained myself in a mindset of gratitude. So there's nothing that I would want to change from the past. But
Right.
if I do look for a challenge that I've had, it's I think it's when I was younger that I had traveled a lot. So I went to an international school in Germany. And then when I came back, when I was 8, 9 years old, I went back to Belgium with my family. And I came back into this old kind of school system that wasn't so open-minded. And I felt like I was going to a jail and being trapped. There were literally
Right.
like fences, and I just felt like, what happened? And I've had that feeling a lot throughout the years, that I think differently than a lot of people in my surroundings. I want to break free, I want to unleash that full potential with myself, with everyone that I see. And it's like not fitting in the system is sometimes a challenge. Now I've embraced it, and
Right.
I help people to do the same. But also my first job, I felt like most people here, some are really happy with the job, but most are just, there's no fire anymore. And I was like, that's my worst fear. So having
Right.
to create your own universe was sometimes a challenge. Yeah.
Right. Right. Awesome. So you work with entrepreneurs now. And that's your day in, day out kind of interaction with various entrepreneurs across industries, across geographies. So, what are the key challenges that you see entrepreneurs have today as they set up their businesses?
Well, we work mostly with entrepreneurs ranging from the age of 30 to 45. And on the one hand, they're passionate about their career, about their business and their team that they're building, and they want that to go great. But at the same time, they also have, most of the time, they also have a family at home. a young family, a wife, maybe some first children, and to be able to balance that, the work-life balance between building a career and also building your family life and keeping your partner at home, your husband or your wife, happy. It's also a challenge.
Right. Yeah.
So,
True.
yeah, the challenges are, how can you be efficient with your work? How can you be productive, focused, and full of energy, that your energy is not drained every day, but that you feel like, I got this and I'm getting better and better.
Right. Right. So what would be your advice to them to deal with such challenges? Obviously, I mean, each one of us faces, and not only entrepreneurs, I think it's a challenge that all of us face. So what is your advice to people who have these kind of challenges?
I would advise, I would advise them to look for a coach, but if they want to get hands-on and start, creating focus in their life, they can sit down and they can reflect, preferably in the morning. That's what I do. That you reflect on, where do you want to go? What's working in your life, what's not working in your life. That you're not just like a train that wakes up in the morning, that rolls out of bed, goes to work, comes back home, like that you're not in this rat race, but that you stop and pause and see, how can you make changes, how can you make corrections so that your life works for you and you don't work for your life.
Yeah. Absolutely. Reflection is so important.
Yeah. And I can also,
I think I advise, go ahead.
I can also advise a specific exercise. I call it do, drop, delegates. And what you do is you make a list of everything that you do in a day, and in the left column, I don't know how you see my screen. One column, everything you do in a day, from business related stuff to doing the dishes to organizing your closet. I mean, everything on the list. And then you make 3 columns next to it that says do, drop, or delegate. And you look at your list and you look at, okay, what can I drop? Maybe some things are not that important. Maybe it's just being active but not being productive. The second, that's drop. You also have do. Do is, okay, what is important that I do that gets done? So when can I schedule it? When should I do that? And the third is delegate. So what is important to get done, but maybe you don't have to do it. It can be something simple like doing the dishes. Maybe your children can help you out. Or if you're preparing for meetings, maybe your assistant can help you prepare. Or, looking at, you don't have to do everything yourself. So that's an exercise that I would also recommend.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I also advise people that it is important to have a not to do list. Everybody goes for a to do list and just packs everything into that list, and you've got like 50 items which overwhelm you. Mm-hmm. But there would be like 5 things out of that which are really critical that must be done so that you can say that, yeah, my day was productive today. Rather than we focus our energy on those 45 items, which can probably wait or need not be done at all. So that is extremely important. And that only comes when you're reflecting. Reflecting is so much important. You really bang on, you really kind of hit the nail at the right spot. Wonderful. Yeah. I think doing all this, we need to constantly upskill ourselves, upgrade ourselves. Personal growth and development is so important in our lives. Like they say that aging is automatic, but growth is intentional and deliberate. Yeah, you don't grow automatically. So how do you practice personal development and learning so that you are on top of your game? How do you keep on upskilling yourself, upgrading yourself?
Well, since recently, I started with, I read the book from Robin Sharma called The 5 a.m. Club.
Yeah.
Maybe some people have heard of it.
Book.
Yeah, you know it?
I've read it. I'm rereading it, actually. I've read it twice already. Awesome.
Okay. I read it not so long ago, and I'm also rereading it. I actually love audiobooks, so I listen to the audiobook. It goes faster for me. And yeah, it's the principle of getting up early, 5 a.m., for example, and doing a short workout, doing 20 minutes of reflecting, writing in a journal. Like, for example, I have a journal somewhere. Also 20 minutes of reading something or listening to a podcast like today, like this interview, for example, like learning. And that's something that I've been doing for years, not the 5 a.m. part. That's pretty new. But what I've always been doing is the past few years, I've done priming. Priming is a technique from, I think, Tony Robbins has called it that. It's like meditation where you can look it up on YouTube. It's like 15 minutes priming where you do fire breathing and you visualize like energy flowing through you. It calms your mind. You go into gratitude, which is very important. And then you end, after 15 minutes, you end with visualizing what you want to create in your life, personally or professionally. And in that way, I've created many things. For example, our trips. Yeah. For example, our trips to Iceland. I tell people, like, last year we went to Iceland for the first time, and I had never been to Iceland, but I had been there in my mind. I had been there in my feelings. I could visualize myself standing in front of the group, coaching them, and outside there are lava, rocks, and beautiful mountains. And yeah, I was there, even though I wasn't there yet. And it's very powerful to do like the visualizing.
Yeah.
I also do walking in nature in the early mornings when the rest of the world is still sleeping, or in the city. I live in the city. I love that. Yeah, I also have some other tips, like learning when I'm commuting, when I'm in the train or the bus, or even when I went to my work. Before I became an entrepreneur, I was listening to audiobooks, listening over and over again, just reprogramming my brain. And I also work with a business coach, and I go to seminars all the time, maybe most of the time once a month, and I listen to podcasts and shows like this. Keep learning.
Yeah. And I think, as they say, that the best investment that you can make is an investment in yourself. So that is something which we all should remember, because if we don't develop ourselves, we don't continuously grow, we become stagnant. And the people who think that they've arrived, probably that's the end of their life. So,
well, there are people that die once they retire, like really shortly after they retire, they suddenly, the heart stops, because I think in many cases their ambition stops. I mean, you don't have to have a professional ambition. Your family can also be your ambition, of course. But you need a vision.
Yeah. So I'm sure you would be stressing the importance of personal growth and development to your clients as well, since you are doing it for yourself. So I'm sure as a business coach, you would be doing it with your clients. So what is the typical impact? Could you share some examples in terms of how people have transformed, and what's the impact of personal development in their lives?
Well, for me, personal development has changed my life. I mean, if I didn't work on myself, after I quit my job many years ago, I was living off of the government's welfare system with a little money every month. And I think without personal development, I would be in a job that I don't like, or have little money and living off of a government, which is not the greatest thing for me. So the question was the tools that I would give.
What's the impact? Yeah. I mean, what is the impact that you've seen on your clients with respect to personal development?
Yeah. Well, I notice with myself and with my clients that you're happier, you're more zen, you're raising your standards. if something doesn't work for you, you don't let it linger for years and years and years. For example, yesterday or the day before yesterday, I broke off my romantic relationship of a few months because we both felt that it was not where we wanted to go, our standards. And with personal development, you're more aware of what you want. With my clients, there's more happiness, more focus, not distracted by social media, what's going on in life. You create your day. You're not the effect of your circumstances.
Right. Wonderful. Yeah. So now, Yasmin, we all have got 24 hours. Like, probably time is the only thing which has been blessed equally to all, irrespective of where you live, where you were born, what you're doing. So what tools are there which make successful people be successful? Because we've all got the same amount of time, but how we utilize is important. So what tools, in your perspective, make successful people as successful?
Yeah. Well, there are certain habits that I do. And once you do something over and over again, you don't have to think about it anymore. It's like, you always put your jeans or your pants on the same way, the first leg in and then the other leg. So it's like a routine that you create. And I have many practices that I do and that successful people also do that I've learned from other people. One is cold showers. So taking cold showers every morning. I start with warm and then I go to cold. And it's very healthy. And it wakes you up in a good way. Like I said, meditation, which I do almost every morning. Gratitude. Also, when I go to sleep at night, I just take a moment of, what am I happy for? What am I grateful for that happened today? Even if it was just, getting a coffee and getting an extra chocolate from the person selling me the coffee, that was amazing.
Right.
Also, minimalism. So, I don't know if you know minimalism.
Yep.
So minimalism is living in your environment, in your house, only with that stuff that makes you happy. That
what
is
you need. Yeah, absolutely.
What you need.
What you really need. Yeah.
Yes, that you live in a clean house. Surrounding yourself with the right people, with people that are going to raise you up, that are like, it could be a coach, but it can also be friends that are playing at a higher level in a certain domain that you want to play in. Maybe business, maybe they have a great relationship and you want to learn how do they do their relationship, do they do regular date nights or what's their secret,
Correct.
Yeah, I go to seminars, like I said. You have to bring yourself into an environment where, you learn from other people. Just constantly stretching yourself, challenging yourself, connecting with the right people. Audiobooks, I love audiobooks. Like
correct.
There's an app from Amazon, Audible it's called, where I listen
Audible,
to.
Yeah.
So so many options. You can't get bored.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I think, as they say, that you're known by the company you keep and the books you read. So it's a very important point. And I think the company matters a lot. In our childhood, I remember our parents used to always say that who you are going out with. They were very conscious, and sometimes we did feel a bit of, anxiety and frustration that why they're so much bothered. But as I grew up, I realized that company makes so much of a difference. And as I say that, are your friends taking you uphill or bringing you downhill? So that's important. So what kind of friends are there? Because everything worthwhile is actually uphill.
Yeah, and
you have to toil hard. Yeah.
Yeah, doesn't mean that you have to, stop seeing certain people. Maybe they're at the same level as you are, but maybe you can inspire each other. Sometimes I coach couples, and first one partner starts with the coaching, the other one's like, hey, I see you transforming. I don't want to be left behind. I also want to get on this train. So you can also inspire each
Right.
other, of course.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Yasmin, what does freedom mean to you? I mean, you have been an independent, successful, accomplished professional. So, if somebody asks you, what does freedom mean to you?
Freedom to me is to be free in your mind, and freedom from any concerns that you have in your mind, because it's all happening in your mind. And I compare it with a lot of, well, everybody's living in a prison, a mental prison. And they don't realize that they're, one, living in a prison, and two, that the gates are wide open, and the guards have left a long time ago. So the gates are open, there are no guards, but yet we don't realize we're in a prison. And sometimes when we do realize it, we still stay put because we're so familiar with the other inmates and the other people in the prison that are also in that comfort zone in that prison, and we just don't step out to feel the fresh air. And
Right.
for me, it's freedom is stepping out of that prison, realizing that you're in a prison, and stepping out of it. And that's a process that is happening your whole life, noticing where your own mental limitations are and breaking free of those.
Absolutely.
And that's why we speak about We Are Lions, about people, breaking free like a lion out of their limiting beliefs, like that they're not a sheep, but they're
Yeah.
actually a lion. And
Yeah, I was actually about to ask that. How did the name come about? We Are Lions. It's a very interesting name for an organization.
well, on the one hand, it's about lions becoming free, and also why we are lions. As a child, I loved the movie The Lion King from Disney.
Mhm.
And I think it's, everybody in the world would almost seen it. And that story of Simba
Right.
was, for
The Lion
me,
King. Yeah.
yes, it was. As a child, I kept on watching the movie over and over again. So when people called our house and they asked, what is Yasmin doing? Well, they said, watching The Lion King over and over. And I think the story spoke to me so much because, the story is about this lion Simba who loses his way, his father dies, and he runs away and he goes, Hakuna Matata, like, I don't care about anything, just leave me alone. And then he realizes that he has a duty. He has to come into his own empowerment to be of service for others and his community.
Right.
And then he goes back and comes into his power and he can serve. And for me, that resonates so much, that we're not just here for ourselves. We are here to serve humanity and serve others with our gifts. But if we don't get out of that prison, we can't use our gifts.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think self-realization is so much important.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been blessed with tremendous potential, but it's like getting that gift, but not unwrapping it at all and using it. What's the point of getting that gift? So it's important, yeah. And so many times we hold grudges against people, and we think that we are, we are confining ourselves to that kind of a prison. It's an invisible bars, but actually it's a prison that we confine ourselves. And forgiving is actually not forgiving the person. Forgiving is actually unchaining yourself. So you're very right that we hold ourselves into the prison. So the real freedom is getting above all those uh, small talks about petty grudges. I think we should be more mature and more understanding of the others. Stepping into others' shoes is sometimes so much important, which we kind of forget, and we just look at our own perspective.
Yeah, and most of the time when you have these grudges towards other people, it's just a sign that you're not playing the game of life big enough. I mean, I
Right.
think of the example of like an old lady who's at the supermarket and, she's trying to save money with all these little pennies, and and then she gets a penny back, not enough money back, and she's angry at the cashier, like, why are you not, giving me my 2 pennies back, or this or that. Like, I think that's a funny situation, because at that moment, that woman, that's the biggest thing that's going on in her life, that she's not getting enough money back from the cashier. But that means, if you're concerned about those things, there's nothing wrong with that, but up your game, be concerned about world peace, be concerned about something you can do, and then you're not going to be worried about what your mother-in-law says, or your colleagues, or, who cares? That's not you're not going to care about that on your deathbed.
Absolutely. Yeah. We've got a comment from one of the audience members. Jashankar says, "Do drop delegate is an excellent way to manage time." So thank you, Yasmin, for passing this insight to our audience. Yasmin, if you could have a billboard with anything on it, what would it be and why?
Well, I had to think about that one for a little bit. I've thought over the years many times, I want that on a billboard. I want that on a billboard, just because I want to wake people up, So I think it would be like, it would say, "You have one more day to live, ... What would you do? Who would you be? What would you give?"
Right.
And then, like Nike says, "Now just do it," like it might be their last day. So I think I would trigger people and consider that you don't know when your last day on earth is. So just go do and be who you want to be. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And what about you, Aline? What billboard would you do?
I was not ready for that. Yeah, for me, I mean, I also look at it the same way, but I would say that I'm still a work in progress, and there's a long way to go, is what I would have written on the billboard. Because I think we keep on learning, we keep on growing each day, and we slowly keep on inching towards achievement of our potential. And I strongly believe that we are work in progress, and we continue to remain a work in progress until we die. So, but that's what life is all about, to keep making each day better than your yesterday. And ultimately, today matters. As you said, today is the day that you have to do something to move forward towards your goal. Each day, if we are taking even small, tiny steps towards achievement of our goals, all these small steps accumulated will make a huge impact. And that's what I believe in.
Yeah, like they say, most people overestimate what they can do in a year, but underestimate what they can do in a decade with all those small steps.
Yeah, we develop daily, not in a day. Right. We've got another audience member. He has his billboard tagline, "To be the best version of yourself today and every day." Awesome, Professor Jagdish Khatri. Thank you. Yasmin, just to continue on our conversation, entrepreneurship is all about dreaming, is all about starting your own venture, is all about doing things that you have dreamt. And obviously, each one of us wants to succeed in setting up our own businesses. But I mean, each dream does need to go through a litmus test, right? So whether that dream is good enough to kind of remain a hobby, or it can actually translate into a profession or a full-time career. So what kind of advice you give to people when it comes to, I mean, you get a lot of people as budding entrepreneurs. Some dreams may be worthy of a profession, some may not. So how do people differentiate, or how you help them to differentiate?
It's a difficult question, because it depends on the context, and it depends on who is asking the question, and then what their situation is. But generally, of course, if you want to make something a business, like in my country and all over the world, there are a lot of coaches, and also coaches in the world of life coaches and personal development. But the reality is that most of them don't have a business; they have a professional hobby, and but they don't realize it. So you want to make the distinction, of course, and it depends on what are you willing to, sacrifice. Or for me, I went through a lot of uncomfortable financial investments to really work on my skills and to be where I am today. A lot of other coaches that are seeing it more as a hobby, they hope that it's going to magically fall from the sky, which it doesn't happen.
Correct. Absolutely.
So it depends on what your commitment is, and I think that almost anything can become a business if you're willing to do the push-ups and go for it for years, and surround yourself with the right people, get a coach if that's necessary. Yeah.
I think it's a very valid point, surrounding yourself with the right people, because when you start, there are so many things which you're not aware of, the challenges that are going to come, and people have already gone through that. So learning from them, hearing their stories, rather than learning more from successes, but learning from the failures of others is such an important lesson that you could use for yourself, rather than failing yourself and going through it. So I think getting to the right people, reaching out to the right resources is so much key for our development. Not only, obviously very important for setting up your own business, but even otherwise in life. Reaching out to the right people, getting the right kind of guidance, mentoring, coaching is absolutely extremely important.
Yeah, it's like they say in English, you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Life is short already. If you're going to reinvent the wheel, don't do that. Why would you struggle on purpose if someone else has already known how to deal with those struggles and not have them? Why would you go and do them? Do you like martyring yourself? I don't know. It can be fun maybe, but I like speed. I want to climb the mountain with someone who can help me, and
Right. Mr. Jayashankar from the audience has got a tip for budding entrepreneurs. Do not give up for 3 years from the start. First year, it's only investment into business. Second year, you will get some business, and third year, you may break even. Yeah, I think patience is the key, is to be persistent and have patience, because if you are strong believer about your dream, I think time will come. Because if you are a strong believer, I believe you'll all put all the efforts that are required to make it successful. But if you yourself don't believe in that dream, then definitely the chances become very great.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to work on that belief. And with all the tips that we talked about today, when you take care of your health, when you take cold showers, when you do all that stuff, it strengthens your belief in yourself. And also in what you're doing.
I think it's very likely that in the beginning, nobody would support you. Even sometimes, maybe even your family members might not support you. They would think that you've got a weird idea. They may ridicule you. I think the first thing, I believe, and I'm sure you know better, but I think belief in your dream is the first thing that you definitely need to have.
Yeah, and at the same time, sometimes people block themselves of starting because they say, well, I don't believe yet completely in my idea. But that's also just BS. You can even start without believing fully. The belief comes by doing. And then you get results, and then you believe more. And then, so don't wait to believe fully, because, there are people that have to believe first and then they can start. But you can just start and the belief will come. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Right. Yasmin, so we've come towards the end of our show. So just before we go, how can people reach out to you? Is there any email? If we can have the studio flash the email address on the screen, so that, if people want to reach out to Yasmin, here's her email ID, yasmin@vrlions.be.
Yes,
I actually searched for VR Lions, but I went into a vrlions.org. So make sure this is vrlions.de, which is the right website to go to. There's a
Yes.
Belgian website, but I think she's got an English version as well of the website. So all those who don't, you speak Dutch in Belgium, right?
Dutch, yes, and English, of
Okay,
course.
but Belgian is a different, is a separate language in Belgium, or you have Dutch?
We have three languages. We have Dutch,
Oh,
French,
awesome.
and German.
Okay.
But I'm from the Dutch-speaking part, and
Right.
but our website at the moment, it's only in Dutch with a few English things. But if you have Google Translate,
Okay.
translate. But
Okay.
yeah, I would say if people want to reach me, they can email me. If they have any questions or inquiries about partnerships or keynote speeches, or the coaching that we do for yourself, for your company, let me know. Or if you have questions about what we were talking about today, I would love to hear from you guys.
Sure. Wonderful, Yasmin. It has been a great pleasure to have you here as our guest this afternoon for me, evening for Indians, and I think still early in the day or it's afternoon already for you as well. Thank you so much, and I thank our audience across all the social media channels. And thank you very much for this 56th episode that we presented today. Yasmin, I'll see you on the other side of the show. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you, audience.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.